Welcome to Bible for Modern Minds podcast.
We are jumping into a source today that charts a personal story of transformation so intense it reads like a thriller.
It really does.
It's the journey of Mike, a man who grew up knowing exactly what to say in church, but secretly believed that Christianity itself was just, a blueprint for hypocrisy.
Yeah, and we have this powerful set of documents detailing his dramatic shift. This isn't just about someone finding religion. It's about a complete existential overhaul.
Right.
It's triggered by these immediate physical crises and confirmed by an extraordinary experience that, frankly, materializes a dream into reality.
So let's unpack this core conflict.
Yeah.
Mike had the typical middle-class American church experience, youth group, Sunday school, all of it. He was completely immersed in the structure. Yet he felt no authentic depth, no real relationship with God until he turned 18.
And his life was defined by that contradiction. I mean, get this, he was actually serving on the student leader team for junior high kids.
The model youth leader.
Exactly. The model youth leader who would then, in his words, leave and go do drugs afterward. He was actively seeking chaos.
And the motivation, according to the source, wasn't just rebellion, it was pure hunger. He was driven by this need for the next adrenaline rush.
The next thing that made me feel alive.
Yeah, he was filling a void with thrills, and the church stuff was just, I guess, social theater.
So our deep dive today is to track the precise moments, the crises and the confirmations that demolish that double life. We need to analyze not just what happened, but why these events were maybe the only way to break through years of this carefully constructed act.
Let's start with the crises, because they hit one after another like seismic shocks.
We can really view these three near-death incidents as a necessary assault on his self-sufficiency. He believed he was in control, navigating this double life perfectly.
And these incidents just tore away that delusion.
They forced him to ask, what is the meaning of all this recklessness?
Okay, incident one. The rock cliff. Picture this. A Northern California beach bonfire. A huge rock cliff, about 60 feet or 20 meters high. Mike bets he can climb it. His friends tell him he absolutely should not, and the source says, that was all that I needed. That dare was his fuel.
So he gets stuck halfway up. He's looking at either a humiliating rescue or a potentially fatal climb.
And he chooses the climb. Pure bravado, ignoring every single warning sign.
He makes it to the very top. He's ready to pull himself over the ledge.
And as he steps up, the entire ledge just crumbles under his feet. He's peeling off the cliff face, screaming, held only by his two friends.
And here's the critical, visceral detail. One friend realizes they are all going to fall and literally shakes Mike off. Let's go.
Wow.
The other friend anchors himself to this massive boulder and holds Mike with one arm, allowing Mike to basically claw his way over him to safety.
A life or death decision by the friends and a total surrender of control for Mike. And the analysis of the aftermath is key. Shaking, sick with adrenaline, the thought wasn't religious, it was profoundly existential.
Mike, if your life ended right now, what would it have been about?
He realized his goals were, quote, so petty. Why did that moment of physical terror achieve what years of sermons couldn't?
Because religion gave him the answers, but the cliff gave him the consequences. For the first time, the stakes were immediate, tangible, irreversible.
It forced a moment of internal honesty.
Yes, it cracked the armor of self-reliance, even though he immediately tried to push the thought away.
But the reckless pattern continued, which leads to incident two. This one is fueled by substance abuse. He's standing in the street, closes his eyes, and hallucinates that he teleported safely back to his bed.
The reality, of course, was very different. He fainted in the street, falling forward with his hands still jammed in his pockets.
And incredibly, he was caught by the exact same friend who had anchored him to the boulder on the cliff.
The same guy. Twice.
Twice. The source implies he was subconsciously drawn to people with an anchor, even as he chased this chaotic life.
But the terror didn't stop there. The source draws this terrifying parallel. Mike's sister's gymnastics coach, a man with no substance issues but a known sleeping disorder, fell asleep while standing, hands in his pockets, hit the curb.
And suffered brain damage that led to his death.
Exactly. That parallel had to be chilling. Mike was literally falling toward the same fate, not from a medical condition, but from intentional self-sabotage.
He saw the fatality in his behavior, the clear and present danger, yet he felt completely trapped. He admitted, I didn't know what to do.
That paralysis is crucial.
And that desperation brings us to incident 3 the very next week at a party. This time, his physical senses failed entirely. He went temporarily blind.
Seeing only, what was it, moving dark shapes.
Yeah. And when a friend handed him water, he couldn't feel the cup properly. It felt immensely heavy, and he could just feel the water pouring onto his feet.
So this internal battle externalizes. He's in a back room, and there are two distinct voices warring in his head. One told him the floor doesn't exist, that if he took a step, he would fall into an abyss.
And the other, which he identified as the voice of reason, just confirmed he was standing on solid ground. It was an internal fight for his own sanity.
A battle between chaos and reality.
And his final action in that state. He chose the side of reason, tensed up, and literally tipped himself over, hitting the floor just to prove that it existed.
And he stayed there until morning. That sequence, the cliff, the fainting, the blindness, it was the systematic destruction of his trust in his own ability to control his life.
They were the necessary breaking points.
And the transition from that physical chaos into intentional commitment starts with, of all things, profound stillness.
The day after the blindness incident, he had that 15 to 20-minute drive home. Usually it was filled with noise music, friends, talking. This time, he turned the radio off.
The silence was so loud.
And that forced silence created the space for a rational confrontation. He began speaking out loud to himself, laying out his two options.
Option 1, keep living recklessly until he died, which would be soon. Or option 2,
Find a better way.
and the physical reaction to just saying option 2 out loud tells the whole story. A racing heart, sweating hands, and this deep emotional cry for more.
For purpose.
Yeah, he prayed right there in the car, God, if there's more, would you show it to me?
And this cry for purpose immediately led to action, though his motives were, let's say, mixed at first. He heard about the 6-month discipleship training school, or DTS, run by youth with a mission, YWAM.
YWAM is this massive international missions organization. DTS is basically an intensive short-term spiritual boot camp.
But Mike's motivation was Hawaii, travel, and the fact that his parents were paying.
Of course.
He even convinced the same friend who saved him twice to join him. They went a week early, explicitly to party in Hawaii before Bible school took away our freedom.
His mindset was pure tourism and entitlement. He admitted he did zero research, slept through orientation, and genuinely thought outreach meant building a house in Mexico.
Because that was the extent of his youth group understanding.
Right. But what's fascinating here is how quickly that external motivation failed and gave way to authentic observation. Once the program started, he was disconnected, reciting the right answers.
But he was watching the other YWAM staff.
And for the first time in his life, he felt he actually saw people live what they said they believed. He saw authentic belief, not performance.
And that authenticity was compelling. He noticed their lives were characterized by power, joy, and purpose, and hope.
And he couldn't fake that. He realized if what they had was real, he wanted it.
But wanting it and believing it are two very different things, and that gap led directly to his existential crisis.
Exactly. During the DTS lecture phase, specifically on how to hear God's voice, Mike realized his question wasn't about the mechanics of prayer.
It was about reality itself.
Is God real, or is this just a sophisticated social structure designed to make people better citizens?
And he understood the high stakes. He couldn't be a fake believer anymore. He drew a parallel to the Apostle Paul's teaching. If Jesus isn't real, Christians are pitiable above all people on earth.
That phrase, pitiable above all people, is the key. It means Christianity isn't a neutral, failed hobby. It means if it's false, you've tragically wasted your entire life for a lie.
And Mike realized, that's where I'm at. He was completely on the fence, facing down the possibility of a wasted life.
This brought him to the midnight prayer. He went to the Hawaii prayer room at 1 or 2 in the morning and prayed for definitive, tangible proof.
He said, God, if you're really real, I want it. But if you're not real, I'm not going to pretend.
And he was met with nothing, just silence. Crickets and just geckos. The lack of an immediate booming response just confirmed his cynicism.
He went back to his room, ready to quit. But as he was falling asleep, 2 strong, clear thoughts came to him. First, do you remember Joseph in the Old Testament?
And second, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever.
So his church memory kicks in. Joseph had the colorful coat, and he dreamed prophetic dreams. Mike, using pure logic, deduced. If God is the same, and God spoke in dreams then, he can speak in dreams now.
So he made a direct prayer. Give me a dream.
For 5 consecutive nights, he prayed for a dream, waking up empty every morning, believing nothing had happened. He had completely forgotten the entire request.
But the 6th day was the moment it all materialized. He was sitting on a friend's bed in the dorm room, completely preoccupied, when the friend walked in.
And the mere sight of this friend triggered a powerful, detailed memory of a forgotten dream from the night before.
The dream was astonishingly specific.
Yeah.
In it, the friend walked in, sat down on Mike's right-hand side, pulled out a large Hawaiian seashell.
The size of his palm, a distinct brown rim, cream with brown spots.
And delivered a message. I felt like God told me to give you this. He wants you to know that he loves you.
Now for the real-life revelation. The friend walks in, sits down on the right side, just like in the dream. Mike is terrified, remembering it, thinking, don't mess this up.
The friend asks how he is, pausing just long enough for Mike's heart to stop.
And then the friend says the exact cue. Well, this might sound a little weird, but I felt like God told me to do something.
He reaches into his pocket, pulls out the exact shell-brown rim, cream with brown spots, palm-sized, and repeats the message verbatim.
I felt like God told me to give you this. He wants you to know that he loves you.
That tangible, specific confirmation, after days of silence and doubt, it just hit him physically. He said, all the hair on my arms just stood straight up.
This wasn't a feeling. It was a physical object delivered by a specific person repeating a pre-written script that only Mike knew. Holding that shell, all the doubt just washed away. He walked into the middle of his dorm room, held up this tangible proof, and declared, okay, God, I'm in. Whatever it looks like, I'm just in.
And this decision launches him fully into missions and service. But commitment, as we see, doesn't eliminate struggle. It just, it changes the nature of the struggle.
Absolutely. We fast forward 2 years. Mike is 21 and struggling deeply. He's committed his young adult life to YWAM, which means he has no college, no money. His social circle is temporary, constantly changing.
And he hits a low point.
Yeah.
Depression. This is compounded when he and his team, who were pioneering new ministry, were unexpectedly and abruptly thrown out of a South Pacific island nation.
So he's questioning his entire commitment. I want to quit.
This internal struggle is crucial because it leads to his defining, clarifying moment. Back in the prayer room, he received this foundational revelation about the value of his life, framed as a time-based currency.
The idea came to him. His life is like $1, and if you assume 84 years equals 4 quarters, at 21, he had already spent his first quarter.
Gone. And the final quarter, 65 to 85, was uncertain, uncontrollable. So he was left holding 2 tangible quarters, ages 21 to 65.
And the whisper came, what do you want to spend them on?
That simple question reframed his entire existence. It's no longer about whether God is real, but about the finite, precious nature of his time. He was choosing how to invest his life.
Shortly after this, he went home to visit a cousin in LA who was a rich and famous singer in Hollywood. This cousin, also 21 by all external measures, had it all.
Money, a sports car, a second home. And Mike felt he had nothing.
The contrast was sharp. The cousin noticed Mike was radically different from the reckless person he'd known just 2 years earlier.
They went to an all-night diner. Mike drove the cousin's sports car there. Over pancakes, Mike shared the impossible things he'd witnessed. Not just the shell, but healings. Seeing food multiply for the needy.
The cousin was completely captivated. Mike remembers seeing the sweat marks left by his hands on the table because he was listening so intensely. And Mike concluded his testimony by saying, cousin, I finally found what's worth living for.
And the cousin's response was the final aha moment for Mike. The rich, successful cousin burst into tears and confessed.
I'm still looking for it.
In that moment, Mike realized that he, the guy with no financial security, no education, fresh off being expelled from a country, was the one who actually had it all.
A life defined by purpose.
What this all means is that Mike found that purpose. He wasn't just saved out of hopelessness. He was saved into a purpose and a destiny that starts now.
Despite the difficulties, he affirms these years and missions have been the best years of his life.
The narrative arc we've seen is this powerful path from an existence focused entirely on self-gratification to an intentional life of service. It was triggered by those unavoidable physical crises and anchored by that deeply personal, tangible confirmation, the shell dream.
The core tension here remains between external temporary success, the rich cousin, the adrenaline rush, and internal enduring purpose, symbolized by the intentional spending of those 2 remaining quarters of life.
And this whole journey really started with a terrifying decision on a cliff face. Mike's friend was forced to let go to save himself, which in turn pulled Mike to safety.
Right. He realized later the friend couldn't hold on if they were both going to survive.
So if we connect that to the bigger picture, if a life of enduring purpose requires commitment, what temporary supports, whether that's a false sense of security or a dependency on external validation, or even a career path chosen purely for money, are you currently holding on to that need to be shaken off, even if the prospect of letting go feels absolutely terrifying in the moment?
Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.